Are you finding retirement surprisingly exhausting? Perhaps you thought this would be a time to finally relax, put your feet up, maybe enjoy a hobby or two at a leisurely pace. But instead, you feel just as rushed, if not more so, than when you were working. You're juggling appointments, social engagements, volunteer work, travel plans, and maybe even helping out with the grandkids, all while trying to keep the house in order. It feels like there's this unspoken pressure to suddenly do everything you didn't have time for before, to prove that you're still vibrant and active. But deep down, this constant hustle might be leaving you feeling drained, spread thin, and perhaps wondering why this phase of life doesn't feel as peaceful as you imagined. There's a painful reality bubbling under the surface of all that activity. This relentless pursuit of busyness in retirement might not be a sign of a life well lived, but rather a quiet source of stress that's slowly chipping away at your well-being. It's almost like trying to outrun something you can't name, by simply filling every moment. And the surprising truth, the little secret we'll explore today, is that true health, peace, and fulfillment in retirement often comes not from doing more, but from doing differently, and sometimes even doing less. In this video, we're going to look at why this happens, and gentle ways you can shift gears to protect your precious health and truly enjoy this time. Watch to the end for something that will surprise you about how you can truly thrive in retirement. Now, let's talk about that feeling you might be experiencing, that sense of needing to be constantly occupied. For many of us, our identity and sense of worth were tied to our careers for decades. We were defined by our roles, our responsibilities, our deadlines. Retirement is a huge transition, a massive shift in that identity. Suddenly, the external structure is gone. There's no boss, no schedule dictated by a company, no immediate, pressing tasks that have to be done by 5 p.m. on Friday. For some, this newfound freedom is liberating. For others, it creates a vacuum. That vacuum can feel uncomfortable, perhaps even a little scary. It can stir up feelings of irrelevance or a fear of not being useful anymore. So, what do many of us instinctively do? We fill the vacuum. We pack our schedules tighter than ever before. We say yes to every committee, every social invitation, every opportunity to travel, learn a new skill, or take up a demanding hobby. We might feel a deep-seated need to prove that we're still capable, still valuable, still someone. There's a subtle, often unconscious, anxiety that if we're not doing, we're somehow less. We might look at neighbors or friends who seem to be constantly on the go and feel like we should be just as busy to be enjoying retirement properly. It's a pressure cooker created by ourselves and sometimes by societal expectations of what an active retirement looks like. We confuse activity with fulfillment. We believe that a full calendar equals a full life. But this isn't always the case, and it can lead us down a path that's surprisingly detrimental to our health, both mentally and physically. Think about it. For years, you might have dreamed of having free time, of not being constrained by schedules. Yet, here you are, potentially recreating that very constraint, just with different activities. This isn't the restful, restorative retirement you might have envisioned. It's a different kind of busy, but busy nonetheless, and it carries its own unique set of stresses. It prevents us from slowing down enough to truly appreciate the moment, to listen to what our bodies and minds are telling us, and to discover what truly brings us joy and peace. Separate from obligation or the need to fill time. This constant state of doing can become a habit, a default setting we fall into without even realizing it, fueled by that underlying discomfort with stillness. And this brings us to a really critical point, the hidden danger of chronic low-grade stress. When you're constantly on the go, even if the activities are enjoyable, meeting friends, volunteering, traveling, your body doesn't necessarily distinguish between good, busy stress and bad, work stress. Your stress response system, designed for short bursts of danger, gets activated repeatedly throughout the day. Week after week, cortisol levels stay elevated. Adrenaline is frequently released. This isn't the acute stress of a sudden emergency, It's a persistent, low-level hum of activation. Think about that feeling when you have back-to-back appointments, or when you're rushing to get ready for one thing right after finishing another. There's a tightness in your chest, a slight clenching in your jaw, a feeling of being slightly on edge. Over time, this chronic state takes a significant toll on your physical health. It can contribute to inflammation, which is linked to a whole host of age-related diseases. It can disrupt your sleep patterns, leaving you feeling tired even after a full night in bed. Poor sleep, in turn, affects everything from your mood and memory to your immune function. Chronic stress also puts extra strain on your cardiovascular system, potentially raising blood pressure and increasing the risk of heart issues. It can impact your digestive system, leading to discomfort and other issues. It even affects your brain, making it harder to focus, remember things, and regulate your emotions. You might feel irritable, anxious, or just generally run down, and you attribute it to just getting older, when, in fact, it might be the cumulative effect of constantly pushing yourself, of never truly switching off and allowing your system to reset. It's like keeping your car engine running at a low hum constantly instead of turning it off when you're parked. Eventually, things start to wear down faster. We need periods of genuine rest and low arousal activity to allow our bodies to repair and restore themselves. When we're too busy, even with enjoyable things, we're often not getting that necessary recovery time. We might think we're relaxing by scrolling on a tablet or watching a fast-paced show, but our brains are still very much engaged and processing information, not entering that deep state of rest our nervous system craves. And tied into this is the way constant busyness prevents us from really checking in with ourselves. When your schedule is packed, there's very little space for introspection, for quiet reflection, or for simply noticing how you're truly feeling, both physically and emotionally. We become experts at pushing through, at ignoring the subtle signals our bodies send us, the twinge of fatigue, the whisper of anxiety, the need for a quiet afternoon. We might tell ourselves we don't have time to feel tired, or that we'll rest later, but later often gets filled with the next activity on the list. This constant outward focus means we lose touch with our inner landscape. We might not even realize how stressed or tired we are until we hit a wall. We miss the opportunity to process emotions, to understand what activities genuinely nourish us versus those that merely fill time, and to connect with our deeper needs and desires in this new phase of life. Think about the quiet moments you had before retirement, maybe a commute, a lunch break, or the time spent winding down after work. Those spaces, however small, allowed for some degree of mental downtime or processing. In retirement, if we simply replace work with an equally demanding social or activity schedule, we're losing those opportunities for internal recalibration. We risk living a life that looks full on the outside but feels somewhat empty or disconnected on the inside because we aren't giving ourselves the space to simply be and to listen. This can lead to a subtle but persistent feeling of being unmoored or lacking a clear sense of purpose. Even while seemingly doing so much, we might feel like we're just going through the motions, portions, driven by inertia or external expectations rather than true inner desire. Recognizing this pattern, this tendency to fill every moment out of habit or discomfort, is the first crucial step in finding a healthier rhythm in retirement. It's about shifting from autopilot doing to intentional being, moving on from that understanding of how busyness affects our stress levels and our connection with ourselves. Let's challenge a common retirement myth, the idea that productivity still means checking off a never-ending list of tasks. For decades, many of us operated in environments where our worth was measured by our output, our achievements, the number of projects completed. It's deeply ingrained. When we retire, that external measure is removed, but the internal programming often remains. We might feel guilty if we spend a day reading a book, sitting in the garden, or simply doing nothing structured. We might feel compelled to justify our time, listing all the errands run, the volunteer hours served, the classes attended. But in retirement, the definition of a productive day needs to shift dramatically for our well-being. True productivity in this phase of life isn't about maximizing output. It's about maximizing whole well-being, meaning, and connection. A day spent having a long, relaxed conversation with a friend is incredibly productive in terms of emotional health and social connection, far more so than rushing from one appointment to the next. An afternoon spent pottering in the garden, feeling the soil and observing nature, is productive for your mental peace and physical activity, even if you don't have a massive harvest to show for it. Spending quiet time reflecting or pursuing a creative passion purely for enjoyment, without any pressure for a finished product, is deeply productive for your soul. We need to give ourselves permission to redefine what counts as valuable time. It's not just about tangible results, it's about the quality of our experience, the nourishment we provide ourselves, and the genuine connections we foster. Clinging to the old definition of productivity keeps us trapped in a cycle of doing that prevents us from truly being. It's about shifting from a mindset of achievement to a mindset of presence and gentle engagement. 慢待. And this leads directly to another vital element that gets squeezed out when we're too busy unstructured time. The very idea might feel alien or even uncomfortable. What do you do during unstructured time? Well, that's the point. You don't do anything specific. Unstructured time is time without a plan, without an agenda, without an obligation. It's the space for spontaneity, for daydreaming, for simply allowing whatever arises to arise. This is where creativity flourishes, where unexpected insights pop into your head, where you might notice the small beauties of everyday life that you're usually too rushed to see. It's the time when you might feel inspired to pick up a dusty instrument, call a relative you haven't spoken to in a while, or simply watch the clouds drift by. Unstructured time is essential for mental decompression and for allowing your nervous system to downregulate. It's the opposite of that constant low-grade stress we talked about earlier. It allows for boredom sometimes. And, surprisingly, boredom is a powerful catalyst for creativity and self-discovery. When you're not constantly stimulated, your mind has a chance to wander and explore. Think back to childhood summers. Often, the most magical moments happen during those long stretches of unplanned time. We need to recapture some of that freedom in retirement. Scheduling every hour of the day, even with enjoyable activities, prevents this necessary spaciousness. It's like trying to fill a balloon so full it has no room to expand or flex. We become rigid and brittle. Allowing for unstructured time is an act of self-kindness. It acknowledges that not every moment needs to be filled. That value doesn't only come from scheduled activity, and that simply being present is a worthy way to spend your time. It requires letting go of the need to always be productive or entertained, and trusting that simply allowing time to unfold can be incredibly enriching. And critically, this brings us to the necessity of prioritizing rest and recovery, not just as a necessity when you're ill or exhausted, but as a fundamental component of a healthy retirement. In our working lives, rest was often seen as something you earned after hard work, or perhaps even a sign of not working hard enough. This mindset is incredibly damaging in retirement. Your body and mind need regular periods of deliberate rest and recovery to function optimally. This isn't just about getting enough sleep at night. Although that's vital, it's about incorporating moments of rest throughout the day. This could be a short nap, spending 20 minutes sitting quietly without distractions, gentle stretching, or simply closing your eyes and taking a few deep breaths. It's about giving yourself permission to pause without guilt. Many of us feel guilty if we're not doing something visible. We might think, I should be doing the laundry, or I should be calling so-and-so, or I should be working on that project. But consistently overriding your body's signals for rest leads to burnout, chronic fatigue, and increased susceptibility to illness. Recovery isn't laziness. It's essential maintenance for your most valuable asset, your health. Imagine trying to drive a car without ever changing the oil or letting the engine cool down. It wouldn't last long. Your body is the same. Scheduling rest is just as important as scheduling appointments. It might feel counterintuitive at first, but deliberately setting aside time for quiet, restorative activities, or even just blank space in your calendar is one of the most productive things you can do for your long-term well-being. It allows your body to repair tissues, your mind to clear, and your nervous system to calm down. It's during these times of rest that you replenish the energy reserves that constant busyness depletes. Without adequate rest, all that doing becomes significantly harder and less enjoyable, and the physical toll mounts up silently. So, let go of the guilt. View rest as a non-negotiable part of your retirement plan, just as important as exercise or healthy eating. It's not a reward for being busy. It's a necessity for being well. Now, building on the idea of redefining productivity and making space for rest, another powerful shift is focusing on depth over breadth. When retirement begins, there's often this feeling that you finally have time to do everything. Learn a new language, take up painting, master a musical instrument, join 3 different clubs, volunteer at 2 places, travel extensively, see every friend and relative regularly. It's an exciting prospect, but trying to pursue too many things simultaneously often results in a superficial engagement with all of them, and that feeling of being constantly rushed and spread thin, instead of trying to do 10 things reasonably well or rushing through them. Consider focusing on a few things that genuinely light you up and allow yourself to dive deeply into them. This could be mastering one particular skill, dedicating significant time to a few key relationships, or committing to 1 or 2 volunteer roles where you can make a real impact and feel a sense of sustained purpose. When you focus on depth, you experience the richness of immersion. You get past the beginner stage and experience the satisfaction of progress and nuance. You build stronger connections with people because you have dedicated, unhurried time with them. You gain a deeper understanding of a subject or skill. This deep engagement is often far more fulfilling and less stressful than juggling multiple surface-level activities. It allows you to be truly present in what you're doing, rather than thinking about the next thing on your list. It's about choosing quality over quantity when it comes to filling your time. Ask yourself what activities or relationships truly energize me and bring me a sense of genuine joy or meaning, rather than just feeling like something I should be doing or another item to check off. Prioritizing those allows you to invest your time and energy where it matters most, leading to a deeper sense of satisfaction and significantly reducing that feeling of being overwhelmed by trying to do too much. It's about curating your life with intention, rather than simply accumulating activities. And speaking of presence, constant busyness makes it incredibly difficult to be truly present, both in your activities and with the people around you. When you're rushing from one thing to the next, your mind is often already anticipating the next appointment, worrying about being late, or mentally reviewing what just happened. You're physically there, but mentally, you're somewhere else, in the future or the past. This means you miss out on the richness of the current moment. You might be having coffee with a friend, but only half listening because you're thinking about the grocery shopping you need to do afterwards. You might be walking in a beautiful park, but not truly seeing the colors of the leaves or hearing the birds because your mind is replaying a conversation or planning tomorrow's schedule. Learning to cultivate mindfulness, the practice of paying attention to the present moment without judgment, is a powerful antidote to this scattered state. It doesn't require hours of meditation, though. That can be helpful. It can be as simple as taking 3 deep breaths before starting a task, eating a meal slowly, and paying attention to the taste and texture, or dedicating a few minutes each day to simply observing your surroundings. Practicing presence allows you to savor your experiences, to appreciate the small joys, and to connect more deeply with others because you are fully there with them. It slows down your perception of time in a positive way, making your days feel richer and more meaningful, rather than just a blur of activity. It's about shifting from doing mindlessly to being mindfully. This practice can significantly reduce that feeling of being on a treadmill and increase your sense of calm and contentment. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, learning to set boundaries and saying no is absolutely crucial for reclaiming your time and energy in retirement. Many of us, especially as we get older, find it hard to decline requests. We don't want to disappoint people. We want to be helpful, or we feel a sense of obligation. But every time you say yes to something that doesn't genuinely align with your priorities or energy levels, you're saying no to yourself, to your rest, to your own well-being. Learning to politely and firmly say no to requests, even from well-meaning friends or family, is an essential skill for a healthy retirement. It's not selfish, it's self-preservation. It's okay to say, "That sounds lovely, but I'm not able to commit to that right now." Or, "I need to keep that time free," without offering lengthy explanations. You are the steward of your own time and energy in retirement, and it's your right to decide how to spend it. Waninawan. Nakora sa dafaninans. This also applies to activities you've already committed to. It's okay to reevaluate your commitments periodically and step back from things that are no longer serving you or are contributing to that feeling of being overly busy and stressed. It's a continuous process of checking in with yourself and adjusting your schedule to honor your needs. Setting boundaries allows you to protect that precious unstructured time, that essential rest, and the opportunity for deep engagement with the things that truly matter to you. It empowers you to live your retirement on your own terms, guided by your inner needs and desires, rather than being swept along by external pressures or the fear of not being busy enough. It's about actively choosing your well-being over the compulsion to constantly please others or conform to an arbitrary standard of retirement busyness. So, we've talked about that surprising tendency to fill every moment in retirement, often recreating the stress we thought we were leaving behind. We've explored how this constant, low-grade busyness isn't just annoying, it has real physical costs, affecting everything from our hearts to our sleep and our ability to think clearly. We've seen how it disconnects us from ourselves, preventing true introspection and rest. It really comes down to understanding that retirement isn't just about having free time. It's about learning to use that time in a way that genuinely nourishes you. It's about letting go of the old definition of productivity tied to constant doing and embracing a new kind of value in presence, rest, and deep engagement. It's about intentionally creating space in your life, time for nothing in particular, which is paradoxically where some of the most valuable moments can arise. It's about recognizing that rest isn't a luxury or a reward, but a fundamental necessity for health and happiness at any age, especially now. And perhaps the most empowering piece is realizing you have the power to choose. You can choose to set boundaries, to say no, to step off the treadmill of perceived obligation and busyness. Remember, making shifts like this doesn't have to be drastic. Small changes can indeed make a big difference to your health and happiness. Maybe it's starting with just one afternoon a week where you deliberately have nothing planned. Maybe it's practicing saying no to one non-essential request this month. Maybe it's simply giving yourself permission to sit quietly for 15 minutes each day without feeling guilty. Be kind to yourself as you navigate this. It's a learning process, unlearning decades of ingrained habits. The goal isn't to become inactive, it's to become intentionally active in ways that truly serve your well-being. Balancing engagement with essential rest and presence. Retirement is a precious phase of life, a time for growth, connection, and discovering new dimensions of yourself. Don't let the pressure to be constantly busy steal your peace and your health. Reclaim your time, listen to your body, and prioritize what truly matters to you. You deserve to enjoy this time fully, with energy and a deep sense of contentment, not exhaustion and stress. What are your thoughts on this? Do you find yourself busier than you expected in retirement? What helps you find balance? Share your experiences and tips in the comments below. Your insights could help others in our community. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, and if you'd like more practical tips and encouraging messages for living your best life at every age, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos. Thank you for watching. Here's to finding your perfect rhythm and truly thriving in retirement. Live your best life at every age.